Who needs Pedialyte to get over your hangover when you've got the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0?
All you need are coffee, eggs, and bacon, and you're gold, baby.
Well, you got to have the conquistador Dave Height
and the maestro Kevin Crane telling you what to listen to, what to watch, what to read from time to time to get you through the weekend doldrums.
So, of course, first and foremost, as always, on the weekend edition, it is rock and roll. It is music. And if we got some stuff for you this week, kids.
There's some dandies in here. This is a good music week.
Couple weeks in a row now. Carrying over from last week, we had Skid Row, which we both thought was great, just what we needed. Yep. Now we have got the long-awaited new album from our boys in Alter Bridge, who we're going to see in concert in February of 2023.
Yep, Pawns and Kings, the 10-song album.
I am a huge Alter Bridge fan, so I have all their albums. I've listened to them dozens and dozens of times, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm a little bit more familiar with Alter Bridge's catalog than Dave.
Yes, I am a more recent convert.
Pawns and Kings is very good. It is up there in the upper echelon. I still think Fortress is their best album. Pawns and Kings, though, could make a big run for second or third spot in their catalog. I was thoroughly impressed.
This was a very, very good album from start to finish.
Of course, 4 of the songs we had already heard and reviewed. This is War, the leadoff track we had talked about before.
Yep.
I actually think the album started out with its weakest songs. I really, out of all 10 tracks, the second song, Dead Among the Living, was probably my least favorite.
Yeah, it's probably one of the weaker ones on there, but it's not bad still.
Right. Then when you get into Silver Tongue and Sin After Sin, of course, that 1-2 punch, again, the second and the third singles off of the album that have been reviewed here previously. Those are 2 unbelievably strong classic Alter Bridge songs.
Yep, Silver Tongue is one of my top ones on the album.
And that grew on me. I initially needed about 8 or 10 listens.
Yeah.
Whereas Sin After Sin, the first time I heard that, I knew that was great.
Yeah.
I knew that was a great song.
Then 5, Stay. This one was kind of the outlier on the album where it had
Mark Tremonti on
vocals, and it had a different musical vibe to it.
A little more upbeat.
It was a little more upbeat. I loved it.
It's a great song. Yeah, I noticed in the second half of the album a lot of mood jumping. Because Stay, Song 5, and Holiday, Song 6, were much more upbeat.
They were. Yeah, Holiday was another one I really liked.
Because the singles that we got, the title track, Pawns and Kings, This Is War, Silver Tongue, Sin After Sin, all pretty much had darker themes, darker melodies to them. So Stay and Holiday, and then jumping to track 8, Season of Promise, more upbeat stuff towards the second half.
Yeah, now Season of Promise and Last Man Standing, to me, sounded very similar musically and vocally. So it was almost like a continuation from one to the other.
Now, Last Man Standing, I'm starting to get more into reading the lyrics on Spotify, or if I've got the CD, looking at the lyric sheet. Last Man Standing has a great line in the chorus. You're the last man standing, but the first to sell your soul.
Yep.
That is an awesome line.
That's phenomenal.
Awesome line. Now, I want to call out track 7. Fable of the Silent Sun is unbelievable to me. It's an epic, tempo-shifting, tempo-changing.
It's got that folksy 60s almost kind of rising sun into late 60s, early 70s rock.
It has multiple tempo changes. It's a warning song, kind of,
Yeah.
in terms of better be careful what's coming, a portend for bad things coming. That, to me, Fable of the Silent Sun, this is classic Alter Bridge. This is the kind of song that I look forward to them doing. They pull it off every once in a while. They do have more poppy inclinations, but when they hit on something like Fable of the Silent Sun, to me, top notch.
Yeah,
Best,
I enjoyed it, but I think you liked it a lot more than I did.
probably, because I would put it up there among the top three, along with Sin After Sin and Silver Tongue. Then, of course, it closes out with the title track, the first single, Pawns and Kings.
Yep, which we discussed earlier that it
months
had,
and months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that it had that prog rock kind of homage to early Rush.
Right. So I'm not disappointed in this album. I think this is above average, stellar Alter Bridge. When I say above average for Alter Bridge, that's where I get stellar from. It's like Van Halen to me. A good Van Halen album is better than 99% of the other crap that's out there. That's what I'm trying to get at here. An above average Alter Bridge album is stellar compared to all the other crap that's out there. I got to give it 3.5 frenzies.
You know, being new to Alter Bridge throughout, I also put it at 3.5.
Yeah, it's not 4. I can't give it 4.
It's not a 4. There were some down bits to it. It was solid throughout, but not 4 level. But it's one that you can listen to over and over and over and appreciate it more and more with each listen.
And like you said, there's really not a down track, although, again, Dead Among the Living, just to me, is a little bit subpar for Alter Bridge. And let's give props over the last couple years to what Miles Kennedy has pulled off.
The dude is a machine.
We both praised his solo album, The Ides of March.
Yeah.
I believe, number 2 on our list last year of the best albums.
Yeah.
Only to be beat by Mammoth WVH, who we'll get to in a second. Then you have this year's Slash with Miles Kennedy, The Conspirators, which is in the running for a top 5 slot.
An album of the year for us. The guy is insane. He is the musician's musician. He loves to perform. He loves to put out new music. He loves to create. This is what we miss from the 70s and 80s, when bands put something new out once a year, every other year. He is constantly working. He's always got a different project going on, and I cannot give him enough props for that energy that he brings. And nothing lacks. There is no...
It's always 100%. Always 100%.
He never sells out. He is who he is, and I love that.
Yep. And again, we want to spotlight Miles Kennedy, because the guy who's similar to him in terms of the creative productivity you're talking about is Dave Grohl.
Right.
Dave Grohl can't sit still. He's always got to be making something, whether it's a Foo Fighters album, or he's making a Dream Widow side project, or he's working on somebody else's album, guesting on drums. Dave said it perfectly. Dave Height, not Dave Grohl. But I'm sure Dave Grohl has said something similar. We need this creative energy in this day and age. We need the bands. We need the performers to sit down and be what you're supposed to be, an artist. Create. We want you to create. I'm sorry that the money's not coming in the way it used to 30, 40 years ago when it comes to pre-recorded music. I know people aren't buying CDs anymore. Everybody jumps on Spotify and listens to your music that way, and you get like a penny or half a penny for every listen. We're sorry about that. I wish it wasn't like that. And we'll talk about the charts in a second too here.
But that's what has been created right now. And put out the new music. Gee, get your ass out on the road and tour, but don't charge an arm and a frickin' leg for tickets so people can actually afford to go out and see you. Don't do these little, we're going to go out for a 10-city tour and charge $500. No.
Oh, yeah, we'll be talking about Bruce Springsteen in a minute too. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said that one.
But again, Dave and I both give Pawns and Kings 3.5 frenzies.
Does not disappoint.
Boy, it's nice 2 weeks in a row to have 2 stellar albums to review.
Just can listen to time and again.
Hopefully next week, Bush will keep the streak alive as we review The Art of Survival.
Yep. So there's your preview for next week. As we move on into this week's songs, shall we save kind of maybe the best for last?
I will let you decide.
You
want to go bottom to top, top to bottom, ass to mouth, whatever you want.
Let's go backwards alphabetically.
Okay.
We'll start with Mr. Springsteen doing a cover of the Commodore's Night Shift.
I had a feeling this would be painful for Dave because I am more tolerant of Bruce Springsteen than he is.
This was a pleasant surprise.
Oh, look at that, kids.
I actually think his vocals played very well with this song. I enjoyed it. Surprisingly, I went in with some trepidation.
Well, this is the only song that I would ever choose when it comes to this covers album he's got coming out. Because I know you and I are old school. We look back at the old days of R&B and soul and funk before it got racial, before it got nasty and misogynistic.
Yeah.
The days of when Parliament and Funkadelic and the Gap Band and the Commodores.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
When we could all enjoy the music, it didn't matter who played it. Skin color didn't matter. Music style didn't matter.
Music was music, and it was awesome.
Okay, so that being said, I'm going to tell you I didn't like it.
Really? Really?
Not that much. I won't say I hated it. It just to me, again, I when I saw that he was going to be doing a cover of Night Shift, I was like, I understand who Bruce Springsteen is, a rock god. So he's entitled to try to pull this off if he wants. But you're walking on sacred, hallowed ground when it comes to me. Because I look back and I remember all my old Commodores albums. And now Night Shift, of course, came out after that.
Right.
Because that was after Lionel Richie had left. This was the one big hit the Commodores had after
Lionel.
But still, I have a very fond spot in my heart for the Commodores. And, of course, I love Bruce Springsteen more than you. And I have almost his entire catalog. Now, I don't agree with, the bullshit he spews in terms of politics. It's just a song I didn't need anybody to touch.
I can see that. But he did it.
He was faithful to it.
That's the thing. He was faithful. He didn't do anything stupid to this that he's been known to do to songs, to try and tweak them to his own thing. That's, I think, why I enjoyed it.
What, are you talking about Highway to Hell?
Yeah, that bastardization of a great song.
Was it him and Eddie Vedder and
My
Tom
God,
Morello? Was
that
it?
so bad?
Was that just last year?
Yeah,
Jesus God.
it feels like a lifetime, doesn't
Yes. Yes.
But
Oh,
no,
Lord.
I think the faithfulness that he didn't do anything stupid, which is why to me it was a pleasant surprise that I enjoyed, just trying to be faithful and having it and not being dumb with it.
And again, there's a lot to like about it in terms of he's trying to bring this music to a new generation. Although I think the people that still listen to Springsteen are of my generation and your generation.
Or they would much prefer the Commodores.
And we know who the Commodores are. It's not
Yeah.
like he's playing songs. Now, if you go back to the
Commodores' vocals are so much smoother. The transitions just flow
and
so
Night Shift,
much better.
if I'm not mistaken, out of this upcoming covers album, Only the Strong Survive, I think Night Shift is the newest, quote unquote. All the other stuff goes back to the 60s and the 50s, maybe. So now those songs he might be introducing to some people who've never heard him before. But I think Night Shift bridges the gap for people like us. We know the original. We grew up with the original. I give him credit for trying to bring it to the forefront again.
Yeah.
I just want the Commodores. I would rather have the Commodores version.
Well, yeah.
I'll give it 2 frenzies. That's the best I can do.
2.5 because I was surprised that he didn't take his normal liberties with something.
Kids, always be careful about taking liberties.
Ask permission.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Ooh, liberties.
Liberty. All right, what do we got next, Dave?
Oh, man. Let's go Mammoth on this next one.
Which, of course, ties into us talking about Alter Bridge.
That's
because
right.
We will be seeing Mammoth WVH for the 3rd time as they open for Alter Bridge in February when we see them on the Pawns and Kings tour.
Yep. This is the next bonus track
on the expanded special edition of Mammoth WVH,
which we all know is the money grab. Damn you, Wolfie.
Yeah.
Should have saved it for the second album. But this one, As Long As You're Not You. I like the intro to it. It's got a nice little groove.
Did it remind you of anything?
It did. It had that little extra.
I thought the musical intro to As Long As You're Not You reminded me of that big hit from Hole, Courtney Love's band. When I Wake Up in My Makeup.
Okay, it sounded familiar, but I never listened to Hole enough to.
Well, don't look at me like I'm a big Hole fan. Well, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. I plead the 5th. It depends on the hole, I guess. Because you never go ask them out.
Pour a little cinnamon in the hole, it'll help with the smell.
Anyway, so yeah, the more I listened to the song, the more it reminded me of that Hole song. Of course, Courtney Love,
who killed Kurt Cobain,
but we can't really say that.
But never really proven.
Yeah,
but it's kind of out there because how could he have fired the shotgun with his shoes on?
But in the end, as you always say, we still got Foo Fighters out of it.
That's right.
It can't be all bad.
Good came from it.
But in the end, almost like Alter Bridge, another tie-in. I don't dislike anything so far Wolfie has done. All of his songs have been
solid.
Yes, some kind of. There's a catchy riff, a catchy hook, a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration that we can all relate to in the vocals, in the lyrics, and this is no exception. Again, I agree completely with Dave, though, that just like Talk and Walk, which we reviewed a couple weeks ago, you should have just saved it for the second album.
Which
by all
should have been out by now.
No, which by all accounts is almost done. So we might hear a lot of new stuff in February.
I hope so. That would be lovely.
Because he's been posting updates. And he's doing, again, all of the instruments.
Which is why it's taking so long.
No, that actually speeds up the process.
Oh, is it?
Because he doesn't have to worry about getting everybody together. He wants to do the drums, he does the drums. He wants to do the bass, he does the bass. He wants to do vocals, he's putting it just like the first one. It's all him. The band is the touring band.
But
he is Mammoth WVH. Oh, and by the way, even though it was about 4 or 5 months ago, I happened to dig up an old Eddie Trunk podcast episode on Spotify. Something you'll be happy about. I only listen to the episodes that have people in it that I care about.
Actually like.
So I saw one from, I believe, early summer that had 2 members of Extreme. Gary Sharon and Pat Badger.
Nice.
New album is done. Hopefully a single before the end of the year. Album coming out 2023.
Dare we hope?
A tour?
Dare we hope?
A tour possibly, maybe, following?
I would love to see them again.
Why don't you talk about Tom Petty while we're at it?
I can't see him again.
Well, I can't see him ever, Dave, because he's dead. And I never got to see him.
But
Thank
maybe,
you very much.
Maybe you'll get to see
You know what
Extreme.
I am? Because I did not get to see Tom Petty.
Bitter?
I'm wholehearted.
God help us. That was bad.
I will give, as long as you're not you, 3 frenzies.
3 frenzies is where it stands. Which brings us to our 3rd song.
Fun stuff.
This is very intriguing. Morris Day
of the
time and Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top have collaborated on Too Much Girl for Me. And of course, 4 is the number 4. Damn, this is a fun song.
Short but sweet.
It
Under
is
3 minutes, but it is great.
It is a great collaboration between the two of them. It's got that time funk vibe going, and it's got Billy's bluesy rock guitar. Oh my, it's incredible. This is a fun, enjoyable song.
Yep. Yeah.
I want to hear more from these two together.
See, I don't, because I'm just worried that
too much.
Yeah, I think you take the little bit of perfection you've got and you run with it.
It's a teaser.
No, I think you're asking for too much if you want more than this.
I don't know.
You take the joy, the happiness we get from this awesome party song, you run with it. Don't
just
expect
let
more.
It ride.
Don't expect more. I will give Too Much Girl for Me a strong 3 frenzies.
3 across the board for that one too. It's fun, kids.
So there you go. Another week of mostly positive reviews. I'm the one that rained on the parade with Night Shift. Other than that, pretty positive all the way around.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff to listen to.
And of course, that means that we're heading into Christmas season, and that means we're heading into the doldrums, where we're going to have to scrape and scratch to try to find new music.
God help us, because Lord knows we're not listening to Christmas music.
I had a Christmas album for us to listen to in a couple weeks. What's wrong with Christmas music? I'm serious.
What did you have?
Stay tuned in a couple weeks, kids. We'll be discussing
unless
our
it's like
Sports Frenzy Weekend Edition Christmas album of the year.
Christmas.
I have a Christmas album.
Oh, God help me.
We should review one Christmas album every year. Unless there's just absolutely nothing out there. I found one already, though.
All right. We'll give it a shot.
Coming out in a couple weeks.
Bah frickin' humbug, kids.
We talked last week about Mick Mars semi-retiring from Motley Crue.
Yep, no longer going on the road, but willing to do the studio.
And you wonder, are they really going to be doing new music in the studio?
No.
So it's pretty much a retirement.
Yeah.
But they pulled the rabbit out of the hat. They found the one guy who was going to fit perfectly for them in terms of guitarist on tour. That would be one John Five from Rob Zombie's band.
Yep.
Also has worked extensively with David Lee Roth. He's going to be perfect.
He is the one person who could fill in for Mick Mars.
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely perfect fit.
That is brilliant.
Going to talk about the Billboard charts. Of course, they have not been worth a damn.
Do they still do those?
Decades. Yeah, and people still care about them.
Why?
But we've talked about how they have...
Who reads magazines anymore?
Well, but you go online. You can look at the charts online.
Who gives a shit about the charts? They don't mean anything.
Well, to the egomaniacs in Hollywood and to the performers who want to have their name next to a number one song.
Yeah, but nobody knows what stupid-ass algorithms they use anymore to create the
There's
lists.
my point. Because it
all
involves
used to be album
streaming
sales. Now you got streaming. Now you got whoever's butt fucking who.
This will prove the point that you just made outside of the butt fucking. Again, which hole?
Ask Courtney.
Yeah. Taylor Swift set a record this week.
Okay.
All of the top 10 spots on the Billboard Hot 100 are taken up by Taylor Swift songs off her new album. That should tell you right there is a flaw in the algorithm, a flaw in the formula they use. I'm sorry. That tells me that you're going exclusively with streaming because people got online when the album came out and listened to it over and over again, putting all of the songs on the album in the top 10.
Yeah, you do not. No, sorry. That does not fly.
Sorry, Taylor. But Sports Frenzy does not recognize your record.
Sports Frenzy no longer recognizes Billboard in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, really, we haven't in 20 years, so.
That's about right.
All right, next week, when it comes to music, I mentioned we're going to be reviewing Bush, The Art of Survival. Also, another lost track from the Scarecrow sessions from John Cougar Mellencamp. It's our theme song, Smart Guys.
Smart guys or smart asses? Take your pick.
And then an interesting song from a band called Kings of Chaos, which is actually the remnants of Velvet Revolver. Matt Sorum, Duff McKagan, Slash is going to play every once in a while with the band on the new album coming up. Matt Sorum, the drummer, will take lead vocals on this song called Judgment Day.
Looking forward to that.
That should be a very interesting song. And of course, very cool that we've got another band, new band to kind of sift through, look forward to, hear new music from. They're going to be bringing in a lot of all-star collaborators. So
yeah, this could be a fun little party band in the studio.
Could we hear Miles Kennedy making an appearance? Since
it would not surprise me at
such
all.
Good friends.
I would not be surprised if Miles makes an appearance.
So stay tuned for that next Saturday morning. But we're not nearly done here yet. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Movies and streaming coming up in the following segments.
We've got 3 movies coming up. Lots of streaming news. Stay tuned. We will be right back. When the mindless zombies at the major sports networks won't leave you alone. When the forces of evil on local sports radio have you cornered. Load up the boomstick known as Sports Frenzy 2.0. Available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox. Kevin Dave will drive the dull and boring voices in your head away and offer you the sports salvation you need. New episodes drop every Thursday. And don't forget the weekend edition every Saturday, where the maestro and the conquistador might just review your favorite horror flick. Sports Frenzy 2.0. It's groovy.
Wakey, wakey, if you fell asleep again from your hangover. This is Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, here dropping November 5th, 2022, as we record on the 2nd. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And we are on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher!
Boy, I bet that helped your hangover a lot, didn't it?
Stitcher! All right, movie time, kids. Get your popcorn out. We're going to let you know what to watch or what maybe to stay away from.
Not one, not two, but 3 reviews this week. Now, technically, of course, the lines are blurred a lot of the time between streaming and movies. You can have a movie exclusively on a streaming site,
but it's still a movie.
So that's why we tend to treat these movies, the 3 we're going to review, are all technically streamers. But since they are movies, we're putting them in this segment. First and foremost, I was in the mood. Of course, Halloween had just passed recently here Monday, so I wanted a scary movie. Keep up the tradition. Intriguing new movie broke on Paramount Plus about 2 weeks ago. Significant Other. This is one of those movies where at least I've got to give it partial credit for being creative and having one of those mid-movie plot twists that...
We like those.
It wasn't... I felt this is one of those ones where after it happened, I was like, God damn, I should have seen that coming.
It's one of those, dope, I should have had a V8.
I felt like I should have seen this big plot twist coming. Significant Other involves 2 young people dating, committed relationship, going hiking in the mountains. The female, not really cool on this, not really keen on the whole hiking, camping thing. The boyfriend trying to convince her it's going to be fine, it'll be relaxing, it'll be fun.
Snuggle up with me in the sleeping bag.
Meanwhile, what we don't know is, well, what they don't know, we know as...
We know, but they don't know.
Third-person observers, what we know from the beginning, the very beginning, is that a mysterious object has fallen out of the sky into the same area where this young couple is going to go hitchhiking. Let me say that Significant Other has certain inclinations to be like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
The Thing.
Very good. Very good. That could also be an appropriate comparison point. Now, this is not in any way, shape, or form quality-wise up to the level of those 2. Those 2 are classics.
Yeah, it's
all-time classics.
Hard to mess with perfection.
But again, Significant Other, for what it is, it's not long. It's about an hour and 25 minutes, so you're not wasting 2.5 hours on something.
I would love to have watched an hour and 25-minute movie this past week.
Well, there's a hint. There's a hint to what Dave's review is going to have for you. Again, I can't give it a recommendation per se because Again, it's more of an allusion to other movies. And except for the one plot twist.
Would you say it's more of an homage?
No, I can't go that far. It basically takes the whole body snatcher thing from The Thing and from Invasion of the Body Snatchers and just tries to do something a little different with it. But again, doesn't nearly have the gravitas.
I was going to suggest that word for you.
Of those two classics. So that's why I can't fully recommend it. If you've got nothing better to do and you want to be marginally creeped out, little bit of blood and guts, little bit of gore. Couple scenes are really well done. Couple scenes are really kind of intense. I can only give it 2 frenzies though, just because in a way it's been there, done that. I won't say it's completely and totally carbon copy, no redeeming factors. But again, I think because it was so short, I didn't feel cheated. I was like, okay, that was a decent way to pass an hour and a half.
There you go.
So 2 frenzies for Significant Other on Paramount Plus.
All right. These past 3 nights prior to recording, I got through Blonde on Netflix, the movie about Marilyn Monroe based on the Joyce Carol Oates novel. A 2-hour and 47-minute long, slow descent into madness and substance abuse. Did I mention yet Ana de Armas is pretty?
Well, I figured the reason you watched it was because of all the NC-17 stuff.
I was hoping for a better movie than what we got.
Were you at least a little titillated?
Oh, she was very titillating. There was a lot of titillation.
Oh, that Ben Affleck, he's a lucky, lucky man. God damn him. Ana de Armas, Jennifer Garner, Jennifer Lopez, Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, wait, never mind.
Never mind.
Yeah.
The goop.
Yeah.
But
your candle smells like a vagina. What?
But, and yeah, and I mean, this was a long and slow, way too long movie. There was a lot of the bizarre scenes, the way it was filmed to highlight the mental illness factor that was kind of overriding in this tale, because Norma Jean's mother had mental issues in this. Norma Jean was abused, abandoned, left in an orphanage. But it went right from when she was dropped off at the orphanage to her going in for a reading with a movie executive, the president of one of the film studios, who promptly had his way with her against her will, leading to her career. It was just, it just moves so damn slow from that, going through her movies, to her 3-way love affair with Charlie Chaplin Jr. and Edward G. Robinson Jr., her marriage to Joe DiMaggio, which was portrayed as abusive because he didn't like the role she was taking, and how she presented herself to Arthur Miller, who took the brunt of her falling into her mental issues, to the whole touched on the Kennedy stuff, that was just disturbing in its own right. But just working through her blackouts, how they portrayed the abortion she had, the miscarriage. It It was just too damn long. They took too many cinematograph liberties trying to make it too artsy. They could have had it down to an hour and a half easy. It was twice as long as it should have been. Not a great movie. Pass on this one. I'd give it a 1.5.
Yeah, there should be rules about how long movies and books, TV shows, of course, you have the right to end them when you want. You know, you end a season and you say, we're done, or we're going to end it next season, we're done. Books and movies, once you get past that 2 hour and 10-minute mark, it better be something damn spectacular.
Yeah, and this was not.
And for books, for me, it's about 400 pages. Once you hit 400 pages, it better be unbelievable. Otherwise, I am going to say, kiss my ass.
Yeah. And there are storylines in TV shows that need to be wrapped up much sooner or staggered out differently. Walking Dead.
Very good call. Yes, very good call.
That drug
the people that would not die, the series that will not die.
You could have done so much better if you'd have moved things along at a much faster
And
pace.
Dave makes a great point. Think about it personally for you guys out there in the podcast audience. Think about TV shows that you gave up on after 3, 4, 5 seasons because you were just tired of the characters. You were tired of the writing. It wasn't going anywhere further. There are a lot of them out there. Great example with The Walking Dead.
So there you go.
Know your limitations, people. Filmmakers, writers.
Don't try to be pretentious. Not every movie is Oscar worthy.
And not every movie needs to be a 2 hour and 45-minute epic.
Right. This was one that should not have been.
All right. I am going to now review a movie I've been waiting for months and months and months. Finally makes its debut on Showtime after a very brief appearance in a limited amount of theaters a month or two ago. Of course, Dave and I love Chevy Chase in the original Fletch movies.
So good.
So, Dave is a little more hardcore when it comes to stuff like this than me because, of course, I watched the Jack Reacher movies with Tom Cruise, and he's boycotted them. He doesn't have the mental capacity to watch a movie and distance himself from the fact that, okay, the character is not physically like the Jack Reacher character in the books.
There's principalities involved, people.
So I had to take that kind of view, my mature view versus his immature view.
If you're gonna have the character where the author stresses traits, you need to follow through in the movies. I am fine. I would be okay shifting the actors for Fletch.
That's mighty white of you.
I know.
Because John Hamm is now Erwin Fletcher. In the new movie, Confess Fletch. Based on the novels, they're still sticking to the original Gregory MacDonald novels.
Yeah.
I will say this about the movie first, and I'm going to start negative and go positive. I thought this was a really convoluted, hard movie to follow. In that they throw all these characters at you, and there's connections, but nothing that seems to connect to any sort of crime. There's a crime out there, but nobody seems to really directly be connected to it. it's an interesting motley crew of people that are involved. And John Hamm does a pretty good job as Fletch. There are times, about half a dozen times in Confess Fletch, where I felt that little jolt, that little spirit from the original Fletch movies. I'm going to spoil one line for you. Early on in the movie, this happens within the first 10 minutes.
If it's a quotable line, it's all good.
Of course, there's a murder right away. First thing in the movie. Fletch, of course, stumbles upon the body, and he is the prime suspect. And, of course, Fletch has got to deal with a grumpy detective who is skeptical.
No.
As Fletch is casually parading around the crime scene, drinking a highball, a bourbon, something.
Not a steak sandwich.
After a few questions, pertaining to the dead body, the detective looks at him and goes, "How long have you been drinking?" And John Hamm goes, "Oh, I think I had my first beer when I was 13. And I was like,
there you go.
That was a Fletch moment.
There you go.
That I cracked up on that one.
That was good. I like that.
There are about 4 or 5 more lines like that throughout the movie. So John Hamm pulls it off fairly well. He does do his best. He doesn't try to imitate Chevy Chase. He's trying to keep
the spirit,
the literary character of Fletch, that spirit alive. But he's not trying to be Chevy Chase.
He's not hamming it up.
Right. Very little in terms of, there's one moment of physical humor. But outside of that, it's more him observing, making his snarky comments.
There we go.
But again, the plot around him in this doesn't really do him a great service. I think I understand it after watching it twice, but I'm still not sure.
It wasn't a great screenplay.
Yeah, I hate to blame myself. Again, I watched it twice, and I just couldn't put all the pieces together. I understood who the characters were,
but again, why.
The plot doesn't fit together in a way where it makes a lot of sense, or at least motives aren't really explained properly. Why is this guy doing this or this woman doing this?
Nothing's tied together.
No.
There's no rug to bring the room together.
Right. God forbid we're going to get a new Lebowski movie. Jesus. John Hamm going to do that too?
Who knows?
But I'm going to say this. I know I'm kind of going to be a tad bit contradictory. Despite all the negative stuff I've said, it was good to see Fletch again. John Hamm again did a really solid job. The characters again, Marcia Gay Harden is in there, does a really good job as an Italian countess. There is a hot woman, very similar, not Ana de Armas, but reminded me a lot of her. So with the characters are fun. Fletch is fun. 3 frenzies.
Wow. All right.
A week 3.
Week 3. All right. There you go.
So that's going to do it for our movies as I get verklempt. That's how touching John Hamm's performance was.
Dude, take a swig of beer.
But we do have a little bit of movie news before we get into our third and final segment. Remember a couple weeks ago, Dave, when we talked about Taron Egerton possibly playing Wolverine?
Yes, I remember that discussion.
Do you know who is now rumored to possibly be playing Wolverine? Now, we know Hugh Jackman's coming back.
Right, for the Deadpool.
For Deadpool 3. You're going to love this.
Oh, God help me.
Now, he has come out and said it's all rubbish. None of it's true. It's all tabloid fodder.
Liam Neeson?
No, younger than Liam Neeson. I mean, I know Wolverine's been around for hundreds of years, but come on. Besides, he's playing Marlowe right now. He's got to focus on playing
right.
Philip
He's
Marlowe.
He's got to be Marlowe. All right.
He is no longer enrolled at Hogwarts. He just recently
played Weird Al Yankovic. No, not Radcliffe as Wolverine. No. Put Edgerton in. That's more believable.
Daniel Radcliffe had to shoot down rumors that he was supposed to be the new Wolverine.
Oh my God.
We've talked about this. We know they're gonna fuck it up because nobody is ever gonna be as good as Hugh Jackman.
No, not even remotely close.
And for all you James Bond fans who are gonna sit there and tell me Daniel Craig it's always Sean Connery. Daniel Craig can be second best. He's not better than Sean Connery. The original, in most cases, is the better. Best.
Yes.
Nobody's beaten Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
No, it's not going to happen.
But
Sorry.
for you to think, anybody at Disney, to think that Harry Potter should be Wolverine is misguided and pathetic.
Have you seen Arms Akimbo? Guns Akimbo.
Yeah, we did see that. Guns Akimbo. Yeah.
That was a fun flick. That is his kind of movie now. Weird Al Yankovic is his kind of movie now.
We should talk about a couple things off topic here. One involving books. We talked about this and people go, what are you guys talking about this for? What do you care? Because when it comes to the book world, Dave is extremely invested in it. And I care because
my career.
I do not like monopolies. A federal judge has blocked the Random House Penguin Simon & Schuster merger.
Thank God.
Which would have created an unbelievable, ridiculous monopoly in the publishing world.
Yeah, you were going down from the big five down to the big three. Basically, they're trying to consolidate all publishing together. Think of it as all of the movie companies trying to merge together as they've been doing. Look at the whole Time Warner stuff. That's what this is doing. It's creating one block manipulating everything. You don't want that.
Dave made a great point there. And we're going to talk about that in segment 3 with TV and streaming because I got a couple points on that. But the whole Warner Brothers situation right now, where they're cutting jobs left and right, cutting costs because they got too big. That's what happens 9 times out of 10.
With these big-ass mergers.
The first thing they do, we got to fire people. We got to cut costs. We got to be a more lean corporation, even though we're bigger.
Lean is a 4-letter word, kids. Sounds good on paper, but it's bullshit in reality.
And as I recall, when we first talked about this possibility a couple months ago, a lot of authors were dead set against it too, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Bigger authors were coming out against it because they knew it was going to hurt the up-and-coming authors in the long run.
And then finally, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. We rarely talk about social media in a positive light, or at least outside of ripping on Hollywood celebrities and big-time athletes for using social media to spread hatred and fear
And
nasty,
stupidity.
stupid behavior. Well, I guess we can take Twitter off the list of places that are going to tolerate that type of stuff because Elon Musk now owns Twitter. And, of course, Hollywood has shit the bed over it. Oh, I'm sorry. Laid a Hershey bar on their rubber sheets. As we try to find different ways to say it.
They put a Baby Ruth in their swimming pool.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It's still good.
Of course, again, just like when Donald Trump got elected president and Madonna and Bette Midler and everybody said, well, I'm leaving the country. I'm leaving the country.
Please.
Now all the celebrities, I'm leaving Twitter. I can't put up with Elon Musk running Twitter. Why? Because he wants to allow true free speech and eliminate true hate speech. But of course, he wants to make money too. So because now he's come out with this plan where if you're a quote unquote blue verified checkmark person, you might have to pay $8 or $10 a month to keep your account.
Oh, is that for the super users?
I think that's for the celebrities and for the people in the media, because that's, again, I'm very naive when it comes to Twitter. I've never used it.
Yeah, that would be the super users who are trying to promote their bullshit. So, yeah, I'm all for that. Charge them extra if they want to put out all that crap.
Yeah, God forbid they can't afford $10 a month. But again, they're Hollywood celebrities. They'll find something to bitch and piss and moan about because they're so out of touch with reality. And again, remember this, kids. Remember this. Athletes, for the most part, athletes, celebrities in Hollywood, they don't have nearly the educational background that you do.
They get paid to entertain you.
They don't have master's degrees in political science. They barely have high school degrees.
Use your own brains and common sense. Do not follow what they tell you to just because they're making millions and millions of dollars and are all over the damn TV, Twitters, Facebook, whatever crap. Think for yourselves. Don't be a lemming.
And honorary degrees, they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to do anything to get those. As Dave said, they don't count for jack shit. All right, wrapping up segment 2 here. I apologize for getting all phlegmy there in the middle. Once again, recap on the movies. Significant Other on Paramount Plus. 2 Frenzies.
Blonde on Netflix, 1.5.
And Confess Fletch on Showtime, a week 3. So Fletch is probably the best of the week. Again, John Hamm's performance is good enough. Great lines in it. It does kind of harken in certain ways back to the spirit of the old Chevy Chase movies. All right, Dave and I are going to break down headlines in TV and streaming, including more ripping into Disney, the rat, destroying Marvel.
And everything else.
And things are going to get nasty on that one because I am going to get so un-PC when it comes to this because I'm done. I am done with the rat destroying Marvel. We've got a couple idiot celebrities saying idiot things.
Par for the course.
Stay tuned as Dave and I wrap up the weekend edition. Quick promo, and we'll be right back. Hello, this is Will Smith. You might know me as the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You might also know me from Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. And now you must also know me as an Academy Award-winning actor for King Richard. Also by now, you know there are 2 things I do not like people talking about in my presence. namely my open marriage and my wife's lack of hair. Well, now there is a third thing you do not talk about in front of Will Smith. You do not talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. My boys Kev and Dave will hit slap the sports world in Hollywood each and every week on Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the Weekend Edition on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Just remember, keep Sports Frenzy's name out your damn mouth. All right, kids, final segment here. Weekend Edition, trying to wrap things up for you here. November the 5th, 2022, taping here on November the 2nd. TV and streaming news. I don't really have any shows I've been watching per se. Been more in tune with those movies like we talked about last segment.
Yeah, I've been trying to catch up on my reading through the course of evenings.
Yeah, hopefully, eventually, at some point, we're going to review the new John Sanford, Lucas Davenport, Virgil Flowers book.
Yep, Righteous Prey. I'm waiting on you for that one.
The new Jack Reacher.
No Plan B. I'm halfway through that one.
The new Elvis Cole and Joe Pike.
That's waiting in the wings when I finish No Plan B.
Of course, for movies, next week we're going to try to review two. We have got the recent horror movie that's now on HBO Max, Barbarian, and the recently released now on HBO Max, kind of an old school mystery starring Sam Rockwell. See How They Run. We're going to try to review those two for you next week.
Yep.
In terms of TV and streaming news, we talked last week. It was a spoiler, but it was all over the place. You guys knew it.
Everybody knew it just after.
Henry Cavill back as Superman.
Yep. No longer going to be The Witcher. So season 3 is his final run as Geralt of Rivera.
Liam Hemsworth will be taking over that role. As we mentioned, Henry Cavill goes back. Presumably, James Gunn is already been talking to Cavill saying, we're going to go ahead with the new Superman movie. We're going to put you up against The Rock, Black Adam. So they've got big plans.
Their Gunn is driving DC the way superhero movies should be driven. Where Marvel...
Right off the cliff?
No, he's trying to bring them to the route they should be done the way Marvel used to be before the rat took them over and it's driving them over the cliff.
And that leads us into my Disney Plus streaming news, where I am going to be an absolute asshat to all the snowflakes out there. This part, not so much. The Rat has announced that there will indeed be a series focusing on Vision coming to Disney Plus with Paul Bettany, of course. A follow-through, per se, on WandaVision. This will be called Vision Quest. Not the old Matthew Modine wrestling movie. No.
With Linda Ferrantino.
I knew you would go there.
Alluring Linda Ferrantino.
I knew you would want to go there.
With Modine wearing her panties on his head.
Now, here's the part that really chaps my ass. And if you guys have been listening to this podcast...
As a part to a backseat of a Volkswagen?
Again, it's all about which hole you choose. You guys have been listening to this podcast for long enough to know by now that I am a huge devotee of Marvel. I read the comic books when I was growing up. Now, of course, I don't know more recent history in the comics, but I do know a lot of these characters that they've been bringing in, like Werewolf by Night, which I reviewed a couple weeks ago. I was so excited about that, and it turned out pretty good. Disney and the Rat and Marvel didn't screw it up like I was worried they were going to. But they found another character that I loved growing up, one of the minor Marvel characters, that they're going to fuck up. And I have found a new counter argument for this. Dave, let me ask you this. What have I always said? As Hollywood, Marvel, whatever company, whatever director it might be, wants to change a character and make them black instead of the original Caucasian character they were. Who have I always gone to? I've always said, how would all these PC snowflakes feel if
Shaft was a white guy?
I now have a new argument specifically for Disney and for the Marvel Universe. Because now what they're doing is they're bringing Wonder Man into Disney Plus. They're going to have a series based on the old character Wonder Man, who eventually joins the Avengers. Simon Williams. White guy. Always been a white guy. Now he's going to be an African American. Played by Yahya Abdul Mateen II. So here's my thing, Disney. And for all you snowflakes out there and all you guys who want to call me a racist for saying this, but you never want to look at it the opposite way. We've had these troubles lately with Blade, right? Can't get Blade off the ground. Can't get that movie going. Well, here's an idea. Why don't we redo it with Blade as a white guy? How do you feel about that? Would you like that? As Kirk Cousins would say, you like that? You like that? No, you don't. Because the character is black. And that's what he should be. So stop with your reverse racism, Disney, you in particular, because every single show you put on Disney Plus now,
you're screwing up.
Has to be an African American character, African American cast, or an Indian American. You basically are being racist. You don't let white men be main characters anymore at all for anything. And you think you're being socially conscious. You think this is some kind of social justice. It's reverse racism is what it is. I'll call it for what it is. Stop it. Stop changing the ethnicity of these characters because it fits your moral compass. Wonder Man is white. Leave him alone. Make him white. Otherwise, I want to see you change Blade into a Caucasian character.
What about Black Panther?
Oh, God, if you had a White Panther, can you imagine the outrage there? Can you imagine the outrage to that? But again, you can't call them out for that because they're going to shout you down on The View and on CNN and call you a racist, even though it makes perfect logical sense. If you're going to take established characters and change their ethnicity, why can't you do it both ways? Because you're hypocrites. You're hypocrites and you're dumbasses, and you're the problem, Hollywood. You are the insidious evil in this society. You and the mass media. Leave it alone. Wonder Man should be white. Because that's what he was in the goddamn comic books. Here's a story about a black character that should be left alone, should be celebrated because he has been a black character through TV and movies over the last few decades. And I'm talking about Alex Cross.
Yes.
James
Patterson's major detective in Washington, D.C., most notably played by Morgan Freeman in the movies.
There was a one-off with Tyler Perry. Not very popular, but again, how would you like it? How would you
with the main
would you like it if I insisted that you turn him into a Caucasian character? I don't want him to be. He's black
or Latinx.
He should be black, Alex Cross is black. He's African American. Anyway, new series coming to Amazon Prime. Alex Cross, starring as the titular character. I love saying titular. Aldous Hodge, very cool actor, plays Hawkman in Black Adam. So I'm actually looking forward to that. As long as they don't let James Patterson write the scripts, because he's a hack. One of the worst writers I've ever read in my life.
When he was just straight up doing the Alex Cross novels, there was so much better.
And he wasn't whoring himself out.
He wasn't loaning his name to everything for every up and coming author.
Technically putting out 40 books a year.
2 or 3 a month. Ridiculous.
Peacock. They've settled a variety of lawsuits revolving around Friday the 13th. So now they are working on a prequel series called Crystal Lake.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Why are you rubbing your bald head? This could be fine.
It's not going to be.
This could be interesting. I actually heard this and I was a little bit excited.
They're going to screw it up. You know they are.
But there were some kind of lawsuits where they couldn't get the rights to the hockey mask, or they couldn't get the rights to use
the machete,
the mother, or just very odd things that they were prohibited from using because of a whole bunch of lawsuits involving trademark infringement.
Oh, for the love of God and all that's holy, if you're going to do something, just do it and let everybody profit off of it. They're going to screw it up somehow. Guaranteed. I'll give it a shot, but I don't hold out much hope.
And then, of course, we were talking earlier about the budget cuts with Warner Brothers, HBO Max.
Yeah.
The whole HBO Max Discovery merger and all that. Well, I'm beginning to wonder if the CW isn't just going to go the hell away. Because now word comes down, they're canceling Nancy Drew. They are canceling Stargirl.
I'm surprised it got greenlit to begin with.
But here's the interesting thing. The two biggest news shows, I should say, on the CW schedule are the new Walker, Independence, the prequel,
yep,
and of course the Winchesters. They will not commit to full seasons for either show. They're going to let them go 13 and that's it. They're saying they're not canceled, but we don't want to go with a full 22 episode order right now.
And if they're canceling things, not putting anything else out new, then the CW might be going off the air. So what are they going to do with that young DC Kids of the Villains show that they were touting?
Supposedly that's still coming in 2023. Supposedly.
Will it be moving over?
Knights?
Something like that. Will it be going to HBO Max?
Again, we're talking about the company that had finished in post-production $90 million Batgirl movie, and they decided, we'll just put it on the shelf.
But they're spending how much more money to promote Ezra Miller as the Flash and come to his legal defense. And
I'm still not convinced that's going to happen. I'm still not convinced that movie's going to hit theaters. We'll see. We've still got 3, 4, 5 months roughly at some point.
How about they backtrack, shelve the Flash, and put Batgirl out? At this point, I would much rather see Batgirl than the Flash.
For the simple reason that although I would like to see a continuation of that Justice League universe with Ben Affleck supposedly in the Flash as Batman, I don't want to promote Ezra Miller for anything, give him any kind of publicity,
Nothing.
any kind of screen time, because
He is a
dirtbag.
douchebag.
All right, so we have to do our first pivot here in the final segment. Moving on to moments of silence. Couple of moments of silence in the world of music. And of course, one very, very, very large, very significant moment of silence. The Killer, Jerry Lee Lewis, passed away in the past week.
Yep, the last of that generation coming out.
I have mixed feelings about it because, of course, we know about the scandal with him marrying his very, very young cousin.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I see Bob Dylan passing along tributes. Again, Hollywood and celebrities and musicians pick and choose who they want to idolize and who they want to give credit to. And sometimes they look past indiscretions, and sometimes they hold that shit against people forever.
Roman Polanski,
Kevin Spacey. So take it for what you will. He is a rock and roll legend. Jerry Lee Lewis has passed away.
I mean, come on. You got to give him props for being the first one to light his instrument on fire on stage in a concert.
Eat your heart out, Jimi Hendrix.
Who burns a piano?
And then there is D.H. Peligro. Who, you might ask, is D.H. Peligro? He was the drummer for the Dead Kennedys and for a brief period of time for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yep.
Now, by all accounts, his death was an unfortunate accident. A fall at home, I believe.
Yeah.
But he had a past involving heavy substance abuse, which I believe actually got him kicked out of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
How heavy was his abuse to get booted out of the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I mean, come on, these guys put socks on their dicks. What are we doing here?
Have you seen some of their stuff? Listen to their lyrics.
All right, pivot one last time as we wrap up the weekend edition. A couple of stupid Hollywood dumbasses. Now, there are going to be people out there, maybe Dave will be included, I don't think he will be, who are going to dispute these dumbasses and say they're not dumbasses. Because a lot of it involves politics. So again, you take this for what you will. I think they're dumbasses. First up is the overrated, not all that talented actress Anne Hathaway, who, of course, had to make an appearance on Dave's favorite show and mine, The View, and had to talk about abortion. Yes, hot button topic, very divisive. You can feel about it the way you want. We'll feel about it the way we want. But to say something this stupid, this quote, a direct quote from Anne Hathaway, I'll never understand the denigration of an unborn yet living being that some of these people in Hollywood, specifically women in Hollywood, feel put towards the unborn fetus. Anne Hathaway said on The View, abortion can be another word for mercy.
What?
And she was not talking about a situation involving incest or rape, because most of us would acknowledge that in a case like that, abortion would probably be I don't know what allowable, I don't know what word to use, but we're obviously not going to get up in arms in a situation like that. But that was not what she was going for. She basically went on to babble about, oh, we don't know, all abortions or all pregnancies are different and all situations are different. Again, all I want to say about this and this kind of statement from another Hollywood idiot, the carelessness, the callousness that we show towards a life, granted not born yet, but still a life, and acting like it's, oh, oops, I did it again, I made a mistake, let's go to the doctor and get it taken care of. Do these people not understand the ramifications of their actions? If you don't want to get pregnant, don't have sex. But that's, you're taking away my right. It's my body. So my body says I can go out and screw around and have sex, and then if I get pregnant, oh well, I'll just go to the doctor and have it taken care of.
Gee, how about if you want to have sex, how about you take some damn responsibility and make your partner wrap it?
Or take the pill. Or if you don't want to ever get pregnant, get your tubes tied or have your partner get snipped. But no, that's too hard. It's much easier to go to a doctor and have a living being killed inside of you. And I'm actually...
The arguments that they have to justify this are asinine. And when you know they don't have an argument, when they start swearing and making things up and going ballistic.
And I personally am not the biggest diehard anti-abortion person in the world. I understand there's issues to discuss involving population control. I understand there's issues to discuss involving, will the baby be born into a situation that will be reprehensible? But again, you have adoption as an option, which again, everybody seems to ignore that.
Yeah.
Because it's too inconvenient because I'd have to carry the baby for 9 months. Then again,
take some personal responsibility.
But again, in this day and age, nobody does. Then finally, just saw this today. What I thought was going to be a feel-good movie, but again, in this day and age, how could anything be feel-good? Hollywood is going to make a movie about Hank Aaron and his chase and eventual achievement of the home run record in Major League Baseball.
They're going to focus on all the hatred, aren't they?
The project will focus on the racist death threats that Henry Aaron had to endure on his way to achieving Major League Baseball's home run record at the time.
You could acknowledge they were there, but it doesn't need to be the central focus.
Why can't anything in this goddamn society be positive? Why can't... I'm telling you, if you start looking at the box office for some of this stuff, nobody's going to see this stuff. You look at the numbers on streaming services. These shows are getting canceled after a season or two because it's overtly racist. All it does is hammer you with negativity. This new movie, Till, about the whole saga with Emmett Till, we get it. We get it. Okay? Nobody's going to see this movie. You know why? Because we don't want to be hit over the head with negative crap that happened 50, 60, 70 years ago. We're done with it. Hell, I can't watch Schindler's List again. I watched it once. I can't watch it again. I don't need to see that kind of reminder of our past history. Nobody wants to see it. We've made mistakes. All factions, all religions, all races have made mistakes. But to keep bringing the shit up after 60, 70, 100, 200 years, let it go. Let's move on together as a society. But God forbid the 24-hour news cycle would let us do that.
Damn you, Ted Turner, to hell.
I warned you guys it was going to get negative for a while. But I got to call this stuff out when I see it, especially when it comes to sports. On our regular Sports Frenzy edition every Thursday morning, and on the weekend edition here, because if nobody calls them out, if nobody takes action, even if it's on a stupid little podcast like this, if we silence dissent, if we silence free speech, who the hell are we? What the hell have we become?
Nothing going is helping us move forward and correct things. It's perpetuating the issues. It's creating more diversity. It's not allowing anybody to make the changes that we need to move forward.
Don't let Hollywood bully you. Don't let anybody bully you. You stick up for what you believe in, whatever that might be. Black, white, Asian, Jewish. You stick up for what you believe in. You have that right. And don't let don't let Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, or anybody in Hollywood tell you any differently.
But at the same time, everybody has a right to their own opinion. You cannot disparage everything.
No.
Then you're getting down the book ban line. Yeah, you can believe it for yourself. Do not push it on other people. Have your own beliefs, but do not force them upon others. You have to be able to have a civil discourse about everything.
Absolutely. Again, be true to yourself, but at the same time, be respectful to others because, like Dave said, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
And you need to be able to discuss things logically and civilly without the use of name calling and ostracizing people.
Right. And so if opinions are like assholes, everybody's got one, but you want to take somebody's opinion away, then they're not going to have an asshole. So how are they going to shit the bed?
Exactly.
I like that. I actually like that. I might put that on a t-shirt. He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's a maestro, Kevin Crane.
Thanks for putting up with us again this week on the weekend edition.
We got a little heavy for you, but it happens from time to time.
Check out Alter Bridge. New album, Pawns and Kings. Movie for the week, I guess. If you got Showtime, check out Confess Fletch. See what you think about John Hamm taking over for Chevy Chase as Irwin Fletcher. Mammoth WVH, new song, pretty good. Billy Gibbons,
Morris
Day, awesome. Bruce Springsteen's Night Shift. Dave says, if Dave says it's okay,
all right.
If Dave says it's okay, check it out. Because if anybody was going to rip on that, it was going to be him. So
it wasn't horrible.
But again, it's a nice little homage to the old school music.
Yep.
The Commodores. If anything, giving some much needed attention to that great old R&B band from the 70s.
There you go, kids.
All right, same bat time, same bat channel next week for not only the weekend edition, but of course the regular Sports Frenzy episodes all over the place. Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, Stitcher, anywhere.
Drop us a line. Give us some suggestions.
Check out the Facebook page. always have links to every podcast episode on the Facebook page.
And if you give us a suggestion, we'll mention you.
You guys finish up your weekend, have fun, try to stay away from having another hangover. We will talk to you next week. Take care, kids.